Let me see if I'm there yet. Is it working? Oh, wait, I see myself. Boom! All right. Okay. I'm on, Kyle. All right. Hello, kind and gentle folk. Sorry about that. During an update or something, my restream key got weird. Like it reset it to an older key and I wasn't streaming. All right, let's get ZBrush up. There we go. Water is always good. Oh, hold on. I have to launch this. I know this is exciting watching me prepare my stream, right? All right, logged in, connecting, connected. We have all chats. ZBrush homepage is launched. ZBrush is here. Come on, you. There we go. ZBrush blew up. OBS is reconnecting. Hello, Eduardo and Yitkin. Sorry, everyone. I had a restream key issue. It wasn't booting, and now I appear to be on. Correct? I see hellos. Okay, that's there. Come on. You can do this. Okay, that. What is that? Oh, that's OBS. So I'm streaming. You can hear me. Everyone's here. You can see my screen. Hey, everyone come to the summit. Okay, we crashed. We're back. This will take a second to load. I think we're almost there. I think we might actually be able to get this bugger off the ground. Gosh, it's only an hour late. Yeah, it's early for me, right? Aha. Okay. This is a fairly big file, so it's taking a second to load. I think it's on a slow drive too, so don't expect miracles this evening. We're lucky that we're streaming. Alright, there we go, I think. Right? And it's not like I'm gonna stop at 10, right? Alright, stylus. Astronaut. Posed. 2.816 mil. I think he's already shelled, isn't he? Oh, he's still quadded. Oh, nice. Look at me. So he's been re-quadded and re-projected. See, oh yeah. Yeah. See here, this got wonky in the re-project. That's why we're where we are. Okay, so we have remeshed our model. This should just be one mesh, right? Yeah. single mesh, went through remesh. He's at 2 point. Do we have a higher res? No. Okay, so he's at total points 9 million. Oh. Okay, we have other models in. So let's see. Yeah. Awesome. All right, everybody's here. So this is the original model meshed down to 2.5 mil. So what I've done, we have remeshed it. We went to ZBrush and got it into that 2 million poly. Let's go ahead and divide this up one more time. Oh, we go from 2 mil to 11 mil. Three. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Well, 2 mil will be fine for right now, actually, because we're just going to try to get these to fill in correctly. All right, that was our original pose. This is our, let's hide him. Let this come in here. See what we got going, see what we got going. All right. So you can see after our remesh and reproject, we have some bad projection areas here. They're not bad, they just didn't project, right? Turn on transparency. You can see these dark areas, but it didn't project through all the way. And that's kind of what we're looking for at this point. We will delete our lower meshes eventually, and then we'll come back in and use our Sculptress Pro on some stuff. But at this point, we're not going to worry too much about that. We're just trying to identify the areas that didn't fill and just reproject those areas instead of the whole guy here, right? This didn't fill. Because when I Z-remeshed it down, it didn't bring, you know, it relaxes in the remesh. And that's why you need to reproject after your remesh, so you have, so you're fixing this stuff. Hold on, let's turn this off so we can actually see what's going on here. Why, thank you, Joanne. And once again, you can see I'm not being super careful. And then I'm just gonna, once I know these areas need to be reprojected, hold down that, get our mask focal. Just gonna mask them off. Because these are areas that we're going to need to reproject. And it's a lot easier if you can do it just on part of it as opposed to everybody. Let's see if, here's an ugly area. This was obviously pinched and funky. Interesting. It's been a long time since I reopened this model particular. I worked on it, I got some pictures off, but you can see in the remesh we have a bunch of crappy noise here. No, I'm talking about ZBrush. I don't use the old remesh. So tonight, and normally I'm talking about, this will be actually manufactured in sterling silver, but this is for a proposed art piece. He's a little astronaut guy, and I'm going to cast him in silver and put him in front of a black plane. So yeah, so this is a little more figurative than what I'm normally dealing with. At least here, normally I'm just showing, I use no alpha brushes. Everything here is carved by hand. I'll use Keyshot to render. Oh, here. Sorry guys, I forgot I normally do this. Because we have people on YouTube and Facebook. Here, let's bring this chat box here so people can see. But there are the questions. Here we go. So, yeah, I use no alphas. I literally, everything you see there, I hand carved. I'm not a big alpha fan for the most part. They have their place and they're very good at what they do. In the new, the vector displacement maps, the 3D alphas are actually pretty spectacular for iterating things. But in all reality, I try to hand sculpt. Let me see if the Keyshot rendering, just the quick one I did. Documents. Keyshot rendering. I can never remember if these are ascending or descending. Yeah. Come on, you can do it. Yeah, we'll let that think for a second while we're over here. I can't just use close holes right now because this is a little mangled. I'm not exactly sure what steps I did to get to this point, only because I was jamming this to make a rendering, and somehow or another we got this ugly mesh here. But that's an easy fix in a second. Right now we're just looking for places we need to reproject to. Wow, this had a lot of holes in it. Look at that. I wonder what I did. That's interesting. We projected this to a model that these subtool. Okay, so where we're having these issues, right? See, like this stuff right here. Does this model still have subtools? You see here? Let's see. Yep. All right. See how this has not been unify meshed? So you can see the wow. Man, I'm a slob. This mesh is sloppy. I was obviously in a hurry. And not trying to produce this yet. This is stuff that would never make it out of the pre-production check. But anywhere there are things like this, right? See how that's inside that? And so when I project it to it, let's come back here. Let's undo this. Whenever you get things like this, see how it doesn't know what it's projecting to right here? It's like really weird. That is because this is one surface, this is another, so it doesn't know exactly which one you want it to project to. So before you project, let's say this is the model. No, let's just delete that. Why are you even here? This is very, very first block up. That's my pose model. Okay, so this is the model we are projecting to. Stop it. Come on. Come on. There you go. Right? And this has been decimated, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 2.59. This has been decimated. But we still have things that are separate parts. I started working on the base model on this model. No. This model. Yeah, this model. So this is the base model, and I had maybe 8 hours into him. And then I posed him and come on, turn off transparency. So I did this guy. This about 8 hours, 9 hours, maybe. And just say a day. What it might have been a little longer. I can't remember. And then I made a rough, the one that you saw me delete just a second ago. I made a rough pose model. And then I took the parts, I bent them, I posed each of them. This is what we did last week. We posed him and then sort of re-sculpted our details back in, you know, pushing and squeezing so everybody's sort of in the right place. And then I deleted that. I'm sure that is this. Yeah, that's the good one. Yeah, that's the original posed model. Pose model. You can see that the anatomy's crap. I just jammed him in there. That's the freestanding model I detailed, or getting detailed. Then I bent him up and turned him into this guy. We then decimated it, right, to 2 million because I wanted detail. But I obviously left stuff here. Let's auto group. And boop. Yeah, see, we still have quite a few things that are, yeah, everybody's still a separate tool. It's decimated, but the tools are still separate, right? Okay. So now from here, we're going to duplicate this guy because I may want to move or change one of the individual things. So duplicate him. And then W, come into customize, go remesh by union. And now what you're making is a projection model. So we can project to this safely without getting any of the weirdness we just got in that last model. Yeah, it was obviously being really quick because I needed to get the rendering done. Where is he? I had to, this is a proposal for an art piece. Just want to view the thing. Come on. My machine's being laggy. Everything's being laggy. All right, so now if we auto group, yeah, it's one piece. So now where all of this weird ugliness was, because they were separate parts, if we come back to here, come to here, turn transparency on, we're just going to redo everything because there were a bunch of weird places that didn't quite make it. Project all. Come on. No. And that was just a really fast render. There should be a bunch of stars around him. Oh, I think I did the constellations in a different render. Yeah. Don't worry, it's thinking. I don't know why it's, you know, because QuickTime has decided it's going to handle my pictures. Is that why? Come on. There we go. So you can see this is the Seven Sisters, or Pleiades. And then this is one right around it with Venus at the head. These are the major constellations that the Mayans really ran off of or used a lot, and it's all tied into casting shadows and all of this. Oh, well, what's funny, so can I. I mean, I can sit there and noodle forever, you know. The key is, I know how big that he's going to be, like 3.5 inches tall, you know. So, you know, when you're dealing with something like, what is that, 120 millimeters, 127 millimeters, something like that. Well, here, update size ratio. He's with the cup, he's 124 millimeters. So I'm not going to get super persnickety. You can see we still have some weird projecting. W, rid of that. There's still a few projection issues, just how the remesh worked. You can come in, smooth it again, and give it a shot. We still have this weird stuff we're gonna need to fix. This is still behaving funny. Yeah, see there's like a weird pinch here. Normally when I Z-remesh, let's say this is the tool, right, that I'm gonna Z-remesh. I will normally smooth this down dramatically before I do my remesh, because anytime you have all of this detail, the Z-remesher will try to capture it, and it makes for a messy mesh. The whole point of remeshing is that you want a clean mesh, so I tend to smooth it down so it doesn't try to account for buttons and this kind of stuff in the remesh, because you get weird stuff. Oh, yeah, see, this is weirdness from the Boolean. So when it remeshed, that's why we have holes in there. It's because the mesh is dirty here. This stuff's easy to fix. We're in, and this is how I use Sculptress Pro, really. This is the point that I'll use Sculptress Pro, is after I've sculpted my model, I'm tuning it for print or render or whatever. You know, you can see when this reunified or union meshed, it has some weird stuff here. There's a weird thing here that's happening. See, like that pinch, and that is ugly, right? So this geometry stuff was always a nightmare to clean up, because you'd have to go back into your model, fix it, and then redecimate. I have a Origin PC. It's a beast. A dual 18 core 96 gigs RAM. Yeah, I don't know what the chips are. I don't remember. It's about 5 years old, but it was about 12 grand about 5 years ago, so it was a beast of a machine. I like it. It's a workhorse. I'm now hunting for a new computer maker to sponsor me, because I don't want to spend $40,000 on a new machine. So this is where I'll use the Sculptress Pro. So you just come in, hit Sculptress Pro. Now you'll see here it says this has backface masking on. You can't use it. That's because the brush clay tubes has backface masking on it. I'm like, yeah, I know, thanks. Because I don't, oh, these are out of order. Brush, my brush, stroke, C plugin. Sorry guys, I'm OCD, I can't work with things out of place. Anytime you get that warning, here, let's move this and let's get the warning again real quick. Come on. I've already accepted the error. Anytime you get it, it says, oh, you know, Sculptris Pro won't work with that. It's because backface masking is on. But you'll notice that it's still sort of glowing orange there. When I hit Shift, see how it's orange now? And that way I can use my clay tubes tool with the Sculptris Pro softens the stroke a little. And so I like to have the sharper edges of the actual clay tubes. This is how I use it. You've shelled it, you've decimated it, and now you're trying to bring some of the detail back that's softened up, fix some of these weird little spots. So I keep clay tubes on with backface masking, but I keep Shift with backface masking off. And then you literally can come in here and just, come on. Just go ahead and open these holes up a little. Get the mesh around it a little bit more homogenized, because it wasn't, the only reason it did that is because there was ugly mesh there from before from some Boolean or something I did. You know what, to be deadly honest, I don't know yet. I'd have to sit down and deal with the newer chips. It seems pretty rad. But unfortunately I tend to use a dual chip setup, and not all of the chipsets will do dual chip setup, so it's something that I don't know enough about right now. I'm just about to enter the I need to buy a new computer market, so my my knowledge isn't quite there yet, because I have yet to decide to actually do my research for the hunting. I always wait until the last second, because by the time I actually decide to buy, there could be something totally new and different. And it's not something I keep on unless I'm really planning to buy. So for crap like this, you can use close holes, and it will close your holes eventually. This is a complicated model that might have a lot of open holes. Come back over it with the Sculptris Pro. Here, let me show you what the geometry looks like, right? See how you have all this crap geometry? It's easy to fix. Come in with the Sculptris Pro and go over it a little, because sometimes if you have a big decimation, you'll wind up with weird pinchy geometry on some of the flat planes. So make sure that you're homogenizing enough that you're not getting a weird pinch someplace, and that's going to show as well. So when you're doing it, oh, thank you very much, I appreciate it. Oh, you mean behind me? Yeah, that's a form 2. Yeah, it's nice. They're actually their new purple castable is awesome. We just I'll show you a picture of it. Actually, that Mayan head that we did and on the stream, I got it cast. There, you can see there's a hole there. This is crap geometry. You want to get rid of anything that's pinchy, has the capacity to fold over itself. Close holes. And it's funny because you have to remember that I get it from whenever I do figures and stuff. It's funny, I get it from a number of directions where people are like, well, you don't put pores in it or this or that. You got to remember that I make stuff for manufacturing, so I'm trying to hit details and things that will produce, you know. And that's what I'm known for, is being able, I mean, my jewelry is obscenely anal for jewelry that's not hand fabricated. We've really tuned this system into being able to get some high-end, beautiful, well-crafted, well-detailed jewelry out of it. And let me tell you, that's harder than you think it is. I've been hammering this beast for 13 years trying to get a piece of jewelry out of it. Right, and so now you can come in, right, this edge is soft. And this is why I like to keep my actual clay tubes tool. See how sharp my edges are? And if I'm doing this, I'm trying to add crispness and detail, right? So as we come back, we can see that in all reality, this got soft. Now, if I turn back face masking off, the Sculptris Pro is on, and you know, we can come back in and just do a handful of these little things with the Sculptris Pro on. But see how slow it is, and see how it you get a little bit more pressure variation because the actual clay tubes brush functions as a layer brush. It doesn't have it has a setting, you know, like, oh, it is 3 millimeters deep, and as long as you do it, it's going to be 3 millimeters deep. But with the Sculptris Pro on, you lose some of the brush features, and that's why I tend to keep backface masking on for my Sculptris Pro, or for my clay tubes, and then that's why we turn that off, turn that on. There we go. And that way I can come in, do my Sculptris Proing. That's a shit, right? Come in. Why is that doing that? What's going on? Oh, somehow we assign clay tubes to our smooth brush. There we go. Right, it's just real important to have the same mesh density on all this, so when you come back in and restroke it, you're not winding. Oh, I'm like, why is that being like that? This is set way too high. There we go. And now I can come back in and just tune my details up. Make sure my surfaces are nice and clean. SK twist, we can leave the Sculptris Pro on that. And I'll use SK twist more than any of the lining tools when I'm trying to do this, because this makes layers very clearly as opposed to just cutting lines in. So if I'm really trying to punch right here, let's smooth this down. Actually, let's get a little bigger. You can see in my remesh, I smoothed a lot of that bump out, but now we lost our divisions. But if I use the SK twist, it's sort of bringing that little lip back. And in manufacturing, that's the stuff you can see very well, are these like little rolled surfaces and such. So, oh, thank you, Nayland. All right, so right, you know, like, instead of just cutting a line in there, I'm going to use the SK twist, and then you can have it sort of like a folded surface. Let's smooth that, pinch out. So after your decimation, you can get like weird pinches, and that's what, right, see this stuff, that's just the weird pinching from the geometry. After the decimated geometry will often have, you know, the whole point of it is it's getting rid of geometry. So you have large areas that don't have enough geo to sculpt. But when you're going back in with the Sculptress, or the Sculptress Pro, it will force the geometry there. But if you are not homogenizing the area, you wind up with weird pinches. Damn, that one's out of water. I have another one over there. I'll get it set. So here, let me show you. Let's take SK Twist. Let's just use it right here. Now, you can see that the SK Twist brush actually has a nice area of smoothing. But see here these weird pinches? Now, this is no big deal necessarily in a manufacturing model. But if you're going to render this, these pinches show up pretty bad. So let's say you want to do this. I would suggest taking smooth, just getting the whole area rehomogenized. And you can see I made my brush bigger, so my geometry is a little bigger. Make sure to get those little pinches out. Right. Come up here. And the nice thing is we don't have to re-decimate this stuff. We're adding very, very little geometry in the grand scheme of things here. And yeah, just get there. Turn that off. SK Twist. And with a lot of these brushes with Sculptress Pro turned on, take your time, right? If you just try to go fast, it'll start to chatter on you, because it's doing a lot of thinking and remeshing and doing all of the brush effects. That's why some brush effects don't work, just the programming nightmares that it would have taken to get everything to work with the Sculptress Pro. You can only imagine is programming nightmares, right? And see, when we come out, those read as two different surfaces now, not just something that has a line through it. And that's a big deal in the manufacturing stuff. If you're planning to get your model outside of the piece, or outside of the computer, then getting rid of just that linear detail stuff is a big deal. Now, like right here, let's say we want some a linear cut. Linear cut details separate parts, so be careful about using it for detailing, if that makes sense. Just cutting lines into things don't make visual interest. It separates. So like this is a distinctive separation of the part, so I don't mind using a linear detail to separate it. But on things like this, you'll almost never see me go, oh well, here, well now that's that, and I'm gonna come in here and these are this, because what this makes is a bubbly surface, and the bubbles a lot. For this, it's a little complicated because I have a bunch of weird hosey things and stuff. My question is, what size flask am I going to use? Am I going to do the small parts? Am I going to try to cast everything in one piece? I mean, I wouldn't do the coffee cup. Well, maybe. You could cast it in one piece. Like a lot of the resin kit guys, they break their models up a lot. And I don't know why. I'm sure there's a reason. I'm sure it has to do with the machining or whatever. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. So, once again, instead of taking this and doing this as a detail, which will show up nicely, right? You know, that'll be a nice dark detail, and that'll be, but what happens when you start doing this a lot, right? Let's just do a quick example here. Right now, let's just look at this here. Okay, so yeah, that's fine. Right, when people are cutting these lines in for detail, the problem is you're almost always cutting that line in at the same depth. So now when you look at this, this becomes visually chaotic because all you have are linear separations of surfaces. You're breaking up your surfaces to put linear detail in. Let's back that up. As opposed to, I'll do the exact same thing here. As opposed to, okay, we'll undo it, turning the Sculptures Pro back on. As opposed to thinking about these as surfaces and having something definitively setting on top of something else, right? If I'm cutting a line, I'm separating these two surfaces. If I am, let's move that out so I can do this with a brush stroke. Okay. So let's just do that one more time, right? I want, if I'm separating with a line, most people, and I'm not trying to be melodramatic here, most people aren't spending a lot of time thinking about their cut depths when they're doing linear detail, right? You're like, oh, I just have a bunch of details, so the more lines I put in it, you know, the more detailed it is, quote unquote, etc. Right? But if you notice, let's just look again. Boop. By doing that, let's just even zoom out a little. Well, is this in front of this? Well, because that's a little step, who knows? Right? I mean, that, I don't know. But if you, instead of cutting lines, if you do what things actually do, and that is, everything in life doesn't have like big separation lines, but what they do have are layers, right? So come in, oops. Are you doing it? Oh, wrong brush. Like, why is that not working? But if you have this and this both be physically, wait, that where I just lost myself there. Okay, that's the intersection. So did I just undo that? Okay. Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. See how these kind of go like that? I try to avoid that, right? So we're going to have this sit on top of that because that's where it is. We're going to flatten a little of that bubble out. Bring our SK brush in. I feel like the librarian on Discworld. Play tubes. And then you physically bring this surface behind this. Come on. And don't make it two pillow shapes connecting. Make it one sort of flat shape going under the other flat shape. Excuse me. My sinuses kind of went off on me this weekend. All right, let's make sure to bring it over the edges. Come on. What are you lagging about? This is a 2 million poly model, man. All right. Hello. I think I just broke the... Alright, that's annoying. 1 second. Let us do this real quick and see if we killed it everywhere. We sure did. Come into services. With window updates, they're always trying to destroy the Wacom driver. There's a little war going. And as you notice, I can't, my stylus isn't doing anything. I have to use the mouse. Hello from Mexico. Hello to Mexico. If you come in here to your Wacom professional services. Huh. Okay. Yeah, it's... I don't know, it's a weird night, man. Come on. Normally that just reboots it. Stop the service. Start the service. Yeah, it's actually sponsored by Windows aggressively attacking Wacom drivers. Huh. Okay, well that's gonna be one of those days, isn't it? Labor Day. So every single thing I do is gonna feel like I'm giving birth to a baby. Any other Wacom? I don't want to reboot because rebooting takes 15 minutes, if not longer. Come on. Yeah, and what's funny is you can try to kill the Windows Ink stuff, and it'll still turn itself on and yeah, they just I think I'm doomed, guys. Hold on, let me see if we can do it that way. Aha. Okay. That worked, didn't it? Yeah. All right. So let's go back. Oops. We're back over here. So that does look, well, I did a pretty good job of layers there, but see when they're actually going under one another, you get much better reflective effects. And in turn, in the manufacturing side, you know, when you print and oh man, something is, see that white circle? Yeah, fuckers. Oh my god. Windows, man. Yeah, you see how we don't get that little white circle right now? That just shows you this right now is all Windows tablet crap fighting with Wacom. Oh my god. Alright. Really? Yeah, these two drivers are completely conflicting right now. Oh my god. Yeah, the problem is that I can't have a small boot drive because of how, well, I guess now Matrix does have it, or Matrix, what the hell am I talking about? ZBrush has it where you can save your quick saves to a different drive, and that might be the issue, or might be a solution. because before you had to save your quick saves in the user preferences, and unfortunately that I have multi-gigabyte models, and my hard drive fills up with them. And yes, I save every quick save. I quick save every 30 minutes, and I save every single one of them. And there are a number of reasons for that. It's not just my crazy OCD. Well, that's part of it. Really? Are you kidding me, dude? This is a 2 million poly model. There is nothing in the world that you should be lagging about. Do I have live boolean on? Nope. Sometimes, if your machine's lagging horribly, live boolean is on. Well, Oil, you know what? Honestly, it's been a frustrating night. Oh my god. See, now there's that white circle. Oh. Holy shit. Okay, where is that? There's a sculptor, and he's now part of the ZBrush live streaming. If you haven't seen him, he's an absolute badass. Sakaki Karu. He's a Japanese guy. He does like the little like figurines, you know, the anime figurines, and his work is just incredible. So he made a series of brushes, and hold on, I actually, tell me I have them. Where did I put it? I know please tell me I put it under streaming stuff. Streaming stuff. Of course not. You're killing me here. Yeah, these are, he now has them on Gumroad, but for some reason I can never find them. Let me see if I can find them for you. Come on. Is that it? Tell me that's it. Someone found, for some reason I can never find this friggin' link. There's an old site where he had stuff up. I do this every week, I'm sorry. Tsukaki. it's, if someone can find Sakaki's brushes again, I'd really appreciate it. They're on Gumroad somewhere. They're worth whatever the few bucks that you'd have to pay for them. You know, I think he just does it on a donation thing. Yeah, so yeah, well, I haven't. I just, for some reason, I got only, like, while I was streaming, someone posted and I copied it and put it somewhere. I mean, see, I have a place for streaming stuff, but see, that has served. That's exactly what I'm not supposed to show online. It doesn't matter, that's an old broken thing. But so really the key difference in thinking about how you're modeling for printing and stuff as opposed to just general modeling is that you have to remember that your geometry has to be there. So there aren't a lot of cool tips and tricks to, oh my god, now I've got Wacom drivers fighting. Every stroke I do is going to be a nightmare. Okay, this is just not going to work this way. So let's just run over some of this. So you can see, instead of just using a line to just cut things in, try to make things different layers, because when you're dealing with light reflection or real light reflection as opposed to where you can bake in your own reflections and make things look great, you need things to be layers as opposed to lines cut in. And here, let me see. Do I have? Here's my phone. Let's see if it emails these to me. Sorry, I took some cool pictures and then I realized that I just gave the camera to my business partner to take on a road trip. And needless to say, I didn't download any of the images. That's so annoying. Alright, that'll do, I guess. Let me send this to my son. So this is the back detail, and this ring was actually just a little over polished, but you can see that in all reality we're getting a ton of, I mean, this stuff is super small. This was actually designed as a print test, right? And it's hard to tell in this picture. Crap, I have much better pictures. But you can see that when you're dealing with any object, right, if you start cutting lines in and they're bubbly, you lose association with what's going on. Where even here, where this is over polished, you can see that this is the eye, this is sort of that beak, right? These are the noses and the mouths of the little Mayan guys, little eyes. But they're bubbly, or this is bubbly, so you lose some of what's going on there. Right? And these are tiny. You know, you can see the little guy's eyes and stuff. But if you just bubble and draw lines through it, you start to lose detail. It's not quite what I wanted to show you. Right. Let's hide that. If this isn't going to stop conflicting, we might be doomed for the night. Oh no, that's a hell of a lot of detail for a small object. That's really specifically designed to be a printing test. So some of that stuff I didn't expect to show up. And actually the new Formlabs did a good... Alright, Jesus. Alright guys, you know what? I tried. Something's really acting funny with my machine and I'm not solving it quick. I mean, I can't even stroke. I'm trying to think of an answer here. Is my video still going? To me, it looks like it's frozen. Am I frozen? Hello? Can anyone hear me? Can you all hear me? You're killing me. I think I'm dead. Everything's frozen on this side. I don't know if you all can hear me. Let me reboot the OBS and see if... give me a second here. Let me reboot OBS. Oh, this has been a really frustrating night.